She lied, she cheated, and then she begged. My story. Hey, Reddit. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I never thought I'd be the guy posting something like this, but here I am, living a goddamn nightmare. I could really use some advice, or at least a place to vent before I lose my mind. A little background: my wife, Lisa, and I have been married for 7 years. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but I always thought we were solid. She's always had a bit of a sharp tongue, loves to have the last word in an argument, and can be, let's say, difficult when things don't go her way. But I loved her, or at least, the version of her I thought was real. Lately, things have felt off. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Lisa's been coming home late, always busy with work, but she gets weirdly defensive when I ask about it. She used to be all over me, but now she barely touches me. She keeps her phone glued to her side, flipping it over whenever I'm around. I told myself I was being paranoid, that it was just a rough patch. I wanted to believe that. I really did. Turns out, I was an idiot. So, like I said, Lisa had been acting weird for a while, but I kept brushing it off. Maybe she was stressed, maybe she needed space, whatever. But then little things started adding up. One night, she came home late, again, saying she had to stay late for a work meeting. No big deal, right? Except she reeked of perfume. And not hers. Lisa has worn the same perfume for years, and this was something different, something stronger. I made a joke like, "Damn, did you bathe in perfume today?" expecting her to laugh it off. Instead, she froze for half a second before forcing a laugh and saying, "Oh, one of the girls at work sprayed me as a joke." Weird. Then there was her phone. She'd always been attached to it, but now it never left her hand. She'd get texts, smirk, and then flip her phone over like a reflex. One time, I asked who she was talking to, and she sighed dramatically. "God, you're being so paranoid lately." "It's just work stuff." Paranoid. Right. At this point, the unease was settling in, but I still told myself I was overthinking. Until something happened that I couldn't ignore. A few days after the perfume incident, Lisa told me she was going out with her friends for a girls' night. Now, she's done this before, no big deal. But something about the way she said it felt rehearsed. Like she was making sure I bought it. So, out of curiosity, or maybe a gut feeling I didn't want to admit, I texted her best friend, Megan. Just something casual: "Hey, hope you guys have fun tonight. Tell Lisa not to drink too much lol." Megan's response: "What? I'm not with Lisa tonight." My stomach dropped. I didn't reply. Just sat there staring at my phone, feeling like an idiot. A paranoid idiot, just like Lisa said. But there it was, in black and white. She lied. And not just a small lie, this was planned. So I waited. When Lisa came home around midnight, I watched her. Her hair was messier than usual. Lipstick a little smudged. And when I hugged her, because I needed to know, I caught a scent I definitely recognized. A man's cologne. I didn't say anything that night. I couldn't. But I knew I had to find out the truth. And I knew I wasn't going to like it. After that night, I couldn't let it go. Lisa had lied to me, straight to my face, and I needed proof of whatever the hell was going on. I wasn't going to accuse her without evidence, because let's be real, she'd just gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. So, I started paying attention. First, her phone. She was guarding it like it held the nuclear codes, but one morning, she left it charging in the bathroom while she was in the shower. My heart was pounding, but I knew this was my chance. I grabbed it, praying it wasn't locked. It was. But guess what? Lisa, for all her sneaky behavior, is lazy when it comes to passwords. I tried her birthday. No luck. Our anniversary. Nope. Then, on a hunch, I tried our dog's name. And just like that, I was in. And what I found? It made me want to throw up. Messages. Hundreds of them. Some dude named Brandon. Flirty texts, late night, I miss you s, and the worst part, pictures. Not fully explicit, but enough to make my blood boil. Her, in the dress she wore last weekend. Him, sending a smirking selfie with the caption, "Can't wait to see you again, gorgeous." I locked the phone, put it back, and walked out of the bathroom like nothing happened. My hands were shaking. My face felt hot. I was seconds away from waking her up and losing my shit. But I didn't. Because now, I had to figure out my next move. After finding those messages, I couldn't look at Lisa the same way. Every time she smiled at me, every time she kissed me goodbye, all I could see was her and Brandon. I wanted to scream in her face, demand to know how long she'd been making a fool out of me, but I held back. Why? Because I needed to catch her in the act. If I confronted her too soon, she'd just lie, twist things around, maybe even delete the evidence and make me look like the crazy, jealous husband. No, I had to be smart about this. So I started acting normal. If she noticed anything off about me, she didn't let on. She still gave me those half-hearted pecks on the cheek, still scrolled on her phone with that smug little smirk. But now, I knew what she was doing. Then, a few days later, the opportunity landed right in my lap. Lisa came home all excited, telling me she had another girls' night planned for Saturday. Right. Because the last one went so well. I played dumb. That's great, babe. You deserve a night out. She beamed, probably thinking I was a clueless idiot. Yeah, Megan and the girls have been planning this forever. Might be out late. Megan. The same friend who unknowingly ratted her out last time. That was all I needed. I told her to have fun, kissed her goodbye, and the second she walked out that door, I got in my car and followed her. And where did she go? Not to a bar. Not to Megan's. Nope. She drove straight to a damn hotel. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I watched as Lisa pulled into their hotel parking lot, parked her car, and got out, dressed way too nice for a so-called girls' night. Tight dress, heels, hair done perfectly. Yeah, she wasn't meeting Megan. I parked a few rows back, heart pounding, my mind racing with every worst-case scenario. I told myself to be calm, to think before I acted, but the second I saw him step out of his car, tall, dark-haired, looking way too comfortable in this whole situation, I felt a rush of pure rage. Lisa walked right up to him like she belonged there. No hesitation. No guilt. And then? She kissed him. Full on, hands in his hair, body pressed against him kiss. I felt sick. 7 years of marriage. 7 years of thinking we were a team. And here she was, in some shitty hotel parking lot, throwing it all away like it meant nothing. I had two options. Get out, confront them right then and there, make a scene. Wait, gather more proof, and destroy her when she least expected it. As much as I wanted to drag that asshole out of his car and knock his teeth in, I forced myself to think long term. If I played this right, Lisa wouldn't just lose me, she'd lose everything. So I took out my phone, snapped a few pictures, and watched as they disappeared into their hotel lobby, completely unaware that their little secret wasn't so secret anymore. I sat in my car, staring at their hotel entrance, my mind racing a mile a minute. I had proof now, clear as day. But I wanted more. I wanted to make sure Lisa couldn't weasel her way out of this with more lies and gaslighting. So I waited. About 15 minutes later, I got out of my car and walked into the hotel lobby, keeping my head down. The receptionist barely glanced at me. I spotted the elevators and loitered nearby, pretending to check my phone. Then, luck struck. A couple walked past me toward the desk, and in that brief moment of distraction, I slipped around the counter and peeked at the sign-in sheet. And there it was. Room 312, Brandon Miller. I snapped a quick picture of it before stepping away, my heart pounding. I had everything I needed now. Texts. Pictures. Their hotel registry. There was no way she was getting out of this. Still, I wasn't done. I wanted to see it. I wanted to catch them in the act, face to face, so there would be no denying it. So I took the stairs up to the third floor, walked down the hall to room 312, and stood there, staring at the door where my wife was betraying me. And then I knocked. My heart was hammering in my chest as I stood outside room 312. My hands felt like they were on fire, fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. But I kept my face calm. If Lisa was going to lie her way out of this, I wanted to see her try. I knocked once. No answer. Knocked again. Still nothing. Then, just as I was about to knock a third time, I heard movement inside. A muffled voice, a man's voice. And then, Lisa's voice. Hold on, I think I ordered room service. Room service. Room service. I nearly laughed out loud at the sheer audacity of it. But I swallowed my rage and stepped back just as the door cracked open. And there she was. Her hair was messy. Her lipstick was slightly smudged. She was wearing a silky little robe that sure as hell wasn't hers. And when she saw me standing there, her face went ghost white. For the first time in a long time, Lisa was speechless. What's wrong, babe? I asked, voice dripping with sarcasm. Not room service after all. She just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish, completely frozen. Then, behind her, I saw him. Brandon. Shirtless, standing by the bed, looking just as shocked as she did. That's when Lisa finally found her voice. And of course, the first words out of her mouth were a goddamn lie. It's not what it looks like. I swear, if I had $1 for every cheater who said, it's not what it looks like, I'd be rich enough to buy this damn hotel and throw them both out of it. Lisa stood there, frozen in the doorway, gripping the robe around her like that was gonna somehow make this situation less obvious. Behind her, Brandon the homewrecker had the nerve to just stand there, wide-eyed, like he was the victim in all this. I let the silence stretch. I wanted to see what she'd say next. And, in true Lisa fashion, she doubled down on the bullshit. This isn't what you think, she stammered, shaking her head like she could just gaslight reality into something else. Brandon and I were just talking. I laughed. I actually laughed. Because what else could I do? Oh, yeah? Just talking. In a hotel room. With your lipstick smeared and him standing there shirtless. Must be some deep, intellectual conversation. Her eyes darted to the side, like she was scrambling for an excuse. Then she did what she always does when she's cornered, she got angry. What the hell, my name, she snapped, crossing her arms. Are you following me now? Do you seriously not trust me? This is crazy. You're acting like a psycho. And there it was. The classic flip the script and make it my fault move. I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and held up the screen. The texts. The photos. The hotel registry. Everything. Save it, Lisa, I said, voice low and steady. I already know everything. Her face fell. And for the first time, I saw it, real fear. The second Lisa saw the screen, her whole attitude changed. The fake outrage, the anger, the excuses, it all drained from her face in an instant. Now? She just looked terrified. Where did you get that? She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I smirked. Oh, you mean these texts? The ones where you tell Brandon you miss him and can't wait to feel his hands on you again. Or maybe the ones where you trash talk me like I'm some clueless idiot. I tilted my head. Yeah, I got all of it. Funny thing about cheaters, Lisa, they are never as smart as they think they are. Her mouth opened, then shut. Then she did something I wasn't expecting. She burst into tears. Now, let me be clear, I've seen Lisa cry before. But this wasn't guilt. This wasn't remorse. This was pure, oh shit I got caught panic. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my sleeve. Baby, please. I can explain. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. I yanked my arm away. You didn't mean to sneak around for months. You didn't mean to meet him at a hotel? That's funny, because this sure as hell doesn't look like an accident, Lisa. Then, Brandon, this absolute moron, finally decided to speak. Hey, man, I didn't know she was married, he said, running a hand through his messy hair. She told me you guys were separated. Lisa whipped around. Brandon, shut up. I raised an eyebrow. Oh. So now you're lying to him too. I let out a sharp laugh. Wow, Lisa. You really don't have a single honest bone in your body, do you? She was sobbing now, full on shaking, but I didn't feel bad. Not one damn bit. Because this was exactly what she deserved. Lisa was crying now, really crying, the kind of tears that felt rehearsed, like she was desperately trying to pull on my heartstrings. But I wasn't buying it. I'd seen this act too many times before. She stepped toward me, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand, voice trembling. Please, my name, you have to understand. I never meant for this to happen. I was lonely. You weren't there for me, and I? Lonely. I cut her off, my voice rising. You're telling me you were lonely? That's your excuse. I shook my head. You don't get to blame me for this. You don't get to twist this around and make it my fault that you've been cheating on me. You made a choice. And it wasn't just some stupid mistake, Lisa. This was weeks of lying, sneaking around, and disrespecting me. She collapsed onto the bed, burying her face in her hands, sobbing harder now. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, I swear. Please don't leave me, I can change, I'll do anything. I stood there, just watching her. No more words. No more sympathy. Because, honestly, she didn't deserve any of it. Brandon, still standing there like the idiot he was, shifted uncomfortably. I didn't know she was married, man. I thought you guys were done or something. I couldn't even look at him without feeling disgust. You're a joke. You knew exactly what you were doing. Lisa finally looked up at me, her face a mess of makeup and tears. Please, my name, just give me a chance to fix this. I love you, I do. I made a mistake, please don't leave me. But I already made up my mind. It was too late. There was no going back from this. Yeah, you made a mistake, all right, I muttered, turning to walk away. But I'm not sticking around for round two. And with that, I walked out of that hotel room, done. I don't know what hurt more, seeing Lisa break down or realizing that I'd been living a lie for months. Maybe it was the realization that I'd spent 7 years building a life with someone who didn't give a damn about me. But I couldn't stay. I just couldn't. I walked out of the hotel and didn't look back. The sun was setting, casting this eerie orange light across the parking lot as I made my way to my car. I could still hear Lisa's muffled sobs behind me, but I drowned them out. I had to. Driving home felt like autopilot. I didn't know what to think or feel. Part of me wanted to explode, yell at the top of my lungs, throw things, break something just to release all the anger building up inside me. But most of me just felt numb. I got home and went straight to the bedroom, throwing my jacket on the bed and sitting down. I just stared at the wall, trying to process everything that had happened. It felt like I was waking up from a bad dream. Except, this wasn't a dream. This was real. I heard my phone buzz from my pocket, and I knew exactly who it was. Lisa had been blowing up my phone ever since I left the hotel. Texts. Calls. Voicemails. I didn't even bother checking them. At that moment, I realized something important. I didn't need to hear her apologies. I didn't need her to beg for another chance. What I needed was to heal. I wasn't sure how I was going to move forward. But I knew one thing, I wasn't going to be stuck in this toxic mess any longer. The next few days felt like a blur. I didn't want to deal with people, didn't want to talk to anyone. The silence in the house was deafening. Every room felt empty, like a part of me had been ripped out and left behind. But I couldn't think about that too much. I had to get through the day, one step at a time. Lisa kept calling, texting, leaving voicemail after voicemail. Please, baby, we can fix this. I swear I'll do anything, just don't leave me. It didn't take long before the messages started to get more frantic. You're being so unfair, don't do this to us, and then, I can't believe you'd just walk away like this. At first, I debated whether or not I should answer. Part of me wanted to hear her beg for forgiveness, wanted to rub the reality of it all in her face. But I didn't. I knew there was nothing she could say that would make it better. The truth was already out. There was no us anymore. I started thinking about what my life would look like without her. It was terrifying, honestly. But as much as I loved the idea of us making it work, I knew that this, what she'd done, wasn't something I could just brush off. There were lines that couldn't be uncrossed. I knew what I had to do. So, I packed a bag. A few essentials, nothing too big. I didn't want to draw it out. I called my brother, told him what had happened, and asked if I could crash at his place for a bit. He didn't ask questions, just said to come over whenever. The hardest part was when I told Lisa I was leaving. I didn't want to see her face anymore, didn't want to hear her fake apologies. I wrote her a short text. I'm done. Don't try to reach out to me again. And that was it. I drove to my brother's place that night, unsure of what the future held, but feeling like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The first few days at my brother's place were rough. I was emotionally drained, just trying to keep it together. I didn't want to talk about what happened with anyone, especially Lisa. I couldn't stand the idea of someone else knowing about the mess I'd just been through. But my brother, being the good guy he is, made sure I wasn't alone in this. He'd crack jokes to make me laugh, bring over takeout food, and let me vent when I needed to. It wasn't about fixing things, it was just about existing for a while. And that helped more than I thought. Meanwhile, Lisa's attempts to reach me continued, but I didn't respond. I couldn't. Every time I saw her name pop up on my phone, I felt the old rage bubbling up again, and I knew I needed more time before I could even think about talking to her. A week passed. I spent more time focusing on myself. I got back to the things I'd put aside, working out again, picking up hobbies I'd forgotten about, spending time with people who actually cared about me. I slowly started feeling human again, not like this broken, betrayed version of myself. It wasn't easy. There were moments when I'd lie awake at night, wondering if I'd made the right call. But every time I remembered what Lisa had done, what we had been through, it became clearer. I wasn't just walking away from a marriage, I was walking away from a version of myself that had been living in denial for too long. I knew eventually I'd have to face Lisa, but not yet. I wasn't ready to hear her explanations or excuses. What she'd done was unforgivable, and I needed time to process that. One evening, after a long workout, I went out for a walk to clear my mind. The night air felt fresh, like I was stepping into a new chapter of my life. For the first time in a while, I didn't feel weighed down by her lies. I felt free. And that was the moment I knew I was going to be okay. It's been a few months since everything went down. I've had time to reflect on the whole situation, and it's been a journey, one that I never thought I'd have to take. There are days when I still think about Lisa and wonder how it all got so messed up. But then I remind myself, I can't change the past, and I'm not responsible for her actions. I've learned a lot about myself. For the longest time, I thought I needed her to be whole, like my happiness depended on us being together. But now I know that's not true. I'm stronger than I thought I was. I've realized that I don't need anyone to complete me. I just need to be true to myself. I've also learned to trust my instincts more. The signs were all there, small things I ignored, things I brushed off because I didn't want to believe the truth. But now, I know that when something doesn't feel right, I need to listen to that gut feeling. And to anyone who's reading this, who's going through something similar, don't ignore the red flags. Don't let someone convince you that your feelings aren't valid. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. And if someone betrays you, don't waste your time trying to fix them. Fix yourself. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about it. I'm taking things one day at a time, and I'm learning how to trust again.